am Christine Jameson, Miss Canada 2019. When I was 16 years old, I was walking home from school one day and it just felt like I walked into a wall. All of a sudden I was overwhelmed by pain, and I don't remember too much of what happened, but I woke up on the ground about half an hour later. And I remember just feeling so embarrassed, and I ended up walking home and my mom asked me, "Oh, how was your day?" And I said, "Fine." And I didn't tell her anything about what had happened that day. From there I started having multiple seizures a day, up to 10 to 12, both grand mal and absent seizures. No one knew quite what was wrong with me. Even when I was in an inpatient treatment program, everyone kept saying, "Oh, you're just being a moody teenager, you know, this is a normal thing." And I kept trying to explain to them like my memory loss and the voices that I was hearing right before it. I got every diagnosis from schizophrenia to bipolar, obviously depression, which is something that I deal with, but it is a side effect of something larger. The other thing about temporal lobe epilepsy is that it doesn't show up on a lot of scans. So I'd have EEGs and I'd have MRIs, and it still wouldn't show up. So they'd say, "Oh no, you're fine, you don't have epilepsy." And you know, because it wasn't something that they saw right away, then you know, I believed them at that point. I started suffering with severe depression, and the more and more that I felt isolated from this illness, the more and more that my anxiety grew. And it eventually got to a point where I couldn't even leave my house. I felt alone, and I felt like I was the only one who was going through the journey that I was going through. I was trying to further myself. I wanted to become a lifeguard. So I was taking all the first aid courses, and it was a weekend that I'd been at a first aid course all day, and I came back home. And I just remember thinking, why would I save someone's life? I can't even save my own. And it was that night that I attempted to take my own life. I felt like my life wasn't worth it. I felt like I was a burden on everyone because we had this mysterious illness that no one could figure out. I was on, I believe, my 4th neurologist at that point. He heard my symptoms, and right away he's like, "I know what this is." I just had another teenage girl who was going through a very similar thing. He's like, "It's the exact same, doesn't always show up on scans. The stages that you're describing, that's exactly what it is." And from there we started just testing different medications, and I went through 3 or 4 medications before we found one that started to control my seizures, which all of a sudden my life just changed and started to become a lot more positive. My medications finally started working for me. My seizures decreased by about 70%, which was absolutely life-changing. I was going to counseling for my anxiety and depression, which started really kicking in as well, and I started to learn to sort of feel confident in who I was again. When I went to the Miss Canada pageant, I sort of gained the confidence that I needed to really put myself out there. So being Miss Canada has been a life-changing experience. It was one of those things I never saw my life turning out to be, but has been just this amazing roller coaster of an adventure. If you're going through this journey with epilepsy, know that you're not alone. There's so many of us out here that have this illness and that struggle with it, but more over than that come out as champions. The BC Epilepsy Society has so many amazing resources here in their office in Vancouver, as well as on their website. No matter if it's issues with your diagnosis, questions about work, or anything like that, please don't hesitate to reach out, because together we can do this.